Hey everybody, Baldoric here. Today I'm going to be doing something a little bit different, but something I think is important because everybody has these units. Not everyone knows if they're worth investing into or whether they're even worth using at all. And I would say yes. So the Askr trio is what we are talking about today. They are basically the main characters of the Fire Emblem Heroes games. Everyone gets them 4 stars at the beginning of the game. And what we are going to be doing is we are going to talk about how to build them for each mode and why we are going to be building them for each mode. So first off, why touch these heroes at all? They are going to be bonus heroes for each mode at some point. Because they are like the main characters of the game, they typically become bonus heroes one reason or another. So maybe there's a bonus hero pool where you don't have any of the heroes or you don't have an invested hero on that hero pool, and you want to have a unit that's consistently a bonus hero that is invested and actually will work. And the Askr trio are those units. They're pretty much the best way to have a guaranteed bonus unit built for each season. Now, the only difficulty with Arena is blessings, so you do need to keep that in mind. Either you're going to want to rotate blessings or have them built for a particular season, okay? But let me show you some ideas of builds for both Arena and Aether Raids and why I think they work for both. So we're starting off with Alphonse here. Now, if you look on the right, I do have their weapons with the specific refines that I gave them. And I believe in some cases I just have like their effect instead of the thing I gave them. But let's talk a little bit about why I think this particular build works for Alphonse. So his weapon is at the start of combat, if unit's HP is less than 80%, sorry I said 50 there, he gets attack defense +7 during combat. Now, that is a pretty useful ability. It basically just gives him a brazen on his weapon, which is really cool. Frees up the A slot, which we are going to be running Sturdy Impact, which is obviously when you initiate attack, you get attack +7, defense +10, which makes him a lot more tanky than he currently is. He goes up to 60 attack, 48 defense. With Joint Hone attack, he actually goes up to 65 attack. With Wrath, Blue Flame is going to be Blue Flame is going to have starting off with 2 charges, which makes it really good. And as long as you are next to somebody, you'll get that plus 25 damage, which is really nice. Now this could easily be switched with Ruptured Sky. I chose Blue Flame because this is one of the builds that I actually am going to be making for him, which you could be using. You know, what did I just say? Ruptured Sky instead of this as well. But I use Blue Flame because Wrath and Blue Flame are very easily obtainable if you're going through the compile system. Owain is in there, I think that's his name. And he has Blue Flame and Wrath, so it's very easy to get this. You just have to give him, like, I think it's Bonfire, and then you can get all 4 of those skills just from that hero, which makes it really easy to get. And its score is really high. Now, this is Arena, so we have attack, Rally Attack and Res Plus, because we need that. Sturdy Impact can be easily switched with like Red Dual Infantry for even more score, or you could use any other like level or tier 4 skill in the A slot. I chose Sturdy Impact because of how much attack it gives him. It pretty much guarantees a kill, and if you're in Brazen range, because we have 2 Brazens on this hero, he's going to be getting attack defense +14 during combat. So if we really do that math, with including the joint attack and the sturdy impact, that's a pretty ridiculous number, okay? So he's going to have a huge amount of attack. Blue Flame's going to be adding 10 to 25 damage, depending on if you're next to somebody or not. He definitely gets a kill. The only thing you're going to want to watch out for with him are mages, because his res is kind of crap. But that being said, works great on player phase, meh on enemy phase. He does survive defensively in some cases, but it does work. Now, seasonally, it's tough to decide where to put him on a season, but just put him on a season where maybe you're missing that Red Sword infantry unit, or you have units that support him well on that season, so think about that when building him season-wise. And for Aether Raids, I didn't really want to use him for anything more than a support unit. And that doesn't really seem to make a lot of sense because he does have like a high attack stat and decent defense stat. What I decided is to give him more of a support role because I don't think I could really reason a Vantage build or something like that with him. So instead, I made kind of this supporting role, survivability, make sure you're buffed, and send somebody in build. So it's your pretty much run-of-the-mill smite, attack, res link with a fort, attack, and res. That way on your turn, you are giving +6 res, +6 attack. You smite in so the attack res link goes off, and you can also switch this if you don't want to use attack res link. In fact, I don't even know if I want to use attack res link here. I'd probably use something like speed defense link or something like that just to cover all your bases. But either way, I give him Fury 3 for the extra stats, helps with survivability. 42 defense is solid. He should be able to survive most things that are going to be attacking him. And keep in mind, this is with Altina and Naga. I'm always going to use the 2 mythic heroes when I show a mythic blessing, so keep that in mind in this video. And other than that, it's a pretty standard build. I use plus res instead of plus defense on his main weapon, only because his res is pretty low. 31 makes it better, still not great. You definitely want to watch out for mages with this hero, but if you do want to build him for Aether Raids so you do have that bonus unit for a season, I'd say he works a little bit better in the Askr season, only because it puts his defense and attack up a little bit higher, which are his main 2 stats. Something to keep in mind when building him for Aether Raids. Alright, Serena. So Serena, I think, is a really interesting one of these units. Definitely one of the... has a bit of survivability because of a good HP pool and decent attack. Not great... I'm sorry, decent defense. Not great res, but decent speed as well. So with the right build, right? So I chose... Now, you'll see that her effect on her weapon is neutralize foes' bonuses from skills like Fortify, Rally, etc. during combat. And the effect is basically a speed defense bond, right? I chose to stay away from the speed defense bond because she's going to be doing things where she's by herself and you don't want her necessarily by another unit. So I just opted to go with the speed refine because speed refine is going to give her that constant +3 to speed, which in a lot of cases will make a difference. Now, if you factor in things like Swift Sparrow, that's +7 speed, and then which puts her at 44. Joint Tone speed will put her at 49, which is honestly a really respectable speed stat. And if you combine that with your party members' buffs, or if you build her seasonally with the speed buff, her speed is going to be at a pretty respectable number to make Gale Force proc every time. Now, follow-up's pretty important on her. You want to be able to guarantee that you can get that follow-up attack. So as long as you hit those 2 attacks consecutively, you are going to be getting Gale Force as long as you have some sort of cooldown reduction, and if not, on your 3rd attack or with 1 attack from your opponent, you'll be getting that Gale Force in the first combat. Which with null follow-up, that is how it should work, is you attack, get hit, attack again, you have Gale Force. In theory. So other than that though, pretty standard build. It's built for max score. You could switch things out here. Instead of Swift Sparrow 3 and Flashing Blade 3, you can reverse that where it's Flashing Blade 4 and Swift Sparrow 2, which actually I think I use in a different build so you can see that. But very efficient. It does work well as a Gale Force strat. And if you're doing this in Arena and you do take the hit, she gets to go again. You can either use that to get her out of a situation, or you can use her to move in and get another kill. Something like that. It does work, it's pretty handy, and it scores really well. Now, Aether Raids, I decided to make her into a tank. And the reason for this is her HP is pretty solid. As a bonus unit, you can use her to tank some of the hits you don't want your main attacker to take if you do it right. Now, you want to still use the null follow-up because you want to make sure that she does get her follow-up attacks if that is a thing that you're working on, or you want to prevent it from the foe allowing that, because with Quick Riposte, she will get that second attack when she is attacked, and with Distant Counter, she's going to be able to hit it at a range. Noontime is just going to give that extra life that hopefully on her 2nd or 3rd attack, depending on how the cooldowns work and what your party is, she'll just have a more survivability. I chose Res Refine because she just needs a little bit more res, puts her at 31 defense, 33 res. This is with Light Blessing, so that's Peony and Ear, so she is getting a little bit more res and speed from that. There are a lot of things, and Attack Smoke obviously to help with survivability as well. There are things you could change in this build, definitely. You don't have to go with something like this. I chose this build for survivability and to let her be a little bit tanky on her own. She also can do something similar to what Alphonse's build is, just general support. So if you'd rather steer away from like an investment like this and just give her a support build with like a attack defense link and drive attacks or whatever it is, go for that. That works too for Aether Raid. That pretty much works with any Aether Raid bonus hero, but this is just a little bit of a different way you can build her, and it does work fairly well. Now, my favorite of the three is Ana. Now, Ana, I think, has a really interesting role she can run. She is a fantastic Gale Force unit because her speed stat is already pretty decent. Alright, so we have 40 speed right off the bat. Now, with Joint Hone speed, she's going to be going up to 45 speed. If you play this right, since most arena games, there's going to be like one armored unit or something like that, slow enough where you can double, she should be able to double relatively easily to get that Gale Force going. You just have to remember that she needs to take a hit to make Gale Force proc, right? Unless you have cooldown reduction one way or another. You also have her ability, which is pretty interesting. You could opt for the speed refine here, but I really like the ability that she has, which is if her HP is less than 50%, she can move to a space adjacent to an ally, and if her HP is above 50%, she can move to a space to any ally within 2 spaces, right? It's kind of like a weird escape route, Wings of Mercy combination on her weapon with like some restrictions. But it's really interesting and allows you for a lot of maneuverability where she can either go in and get a kill or get out after you Gale Force and be very far away so that she doesn't get killed herself. Now, Flashing Blade, what's interesting about Flashing Blade is you do get that extra damage bonus when using it, when it procs, so that's pretty nice. Raise in attack and speed, so if you take that first hit, right, and you are doubling, you are going to be getting that attack and speed plus 7, which is going to really help because her speed stat is going to be going up to, what is that, 45 plus, so that's 53. Her attack stat is going up to 54. A little bit more respectable. And whenever your party members are, you can be buffing that way as well. But I think she works really well with the Gale Force build in Arena. You just really need to watch out for red units, obviously, because her defense is pretty garbage. 24 defense is not great, so you're going to want to make sure that you steer away from anything that's like red and can shred her, okay? So, moving on. And lastly, we have her Aether Raid build. Now, this is kind of what I was talking about with the flip of the Darting Blow and Flashing Blade here. But the reason I chose this is because in Aether Raids, you want to make sure you have that consistently high speed stat instead of just that bonus damage. It's not as important to have that bonus damage. In fact, you can even switch those options for my other build as well. It's interchangeable, whatever you feel is best. I think she fits the Askr season best because it does give her that extra attack and defense that she does need to survive. You could definitely throw her into the light season for the extra speed and the extra res, because those are going to be very beneficial to her. But depending on how you want to build her, I do think she works well on this season. And one thing that's really cool about this build in particular, with the Wings of Mercy and all of her speed stats, you can build her in a Gale Force team and like fit her into any combination of Gale Force heroes you have, right? So if she's a bonus unit, you can basically throw her into any existing Gale Force team you have and she'll just work. She's built to happen. All you have to do is have one Gale Force unit go up, get hit, get hit, Gale Force procs, they go in, hit somebody else. Now they're low enough where she's in the Neotun range or something, or Wings of Mercy. She can go in, do her thing, and it actually ends up being really good. Now, in this case, I did choose Wings of Mercy and her Refine because it's just, that way it's not restricted to just those 2 spaces. So you could opt to switch this for Speed Refine instead of the effect, but I chose to keep it because it's good to keep, to get her out. And if it's not in Wings of Mercy range, you could always shove and then use this ability, or shove or smite, use this ability to get into a different spot. So it honestly works either way. She has so much movement options if you do something like this that I decided to keep it. But other than that, it's pretty much the same build. You're using a Gale Force build. You want to make sure that she's partnered with another Gale Force unit to make this work efficiently, and that she goes after your Gale Force partner because she's going to be the Wings of Mercy that comes in with those hits. So, honestly, these units are surprising. They work really well in the modes they are for. Please keep in mind with all of these builds, the A slots in the arena seasons can and probably should be switched out with G, B, or R dual infantry, just to make sure you're maximizing the score with these heroes. and maybe they do a little bit less damage, or it's harder for them to kill something, but you will score better, and it does work better for those arena seasons. But remember to only use those abilities on them if you are planning to use them like in arenas and you want to invest them that way, because there are units that score better by using that, so you might want to save those for different units. Like, for example, just because we're talking about Ana, instead of putting green dual infantry on her, you could put it on Echidna because she has better BST and she's going to score better than Ana does, even as a bonus unit. So something to keep in mind. That being said, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you like this kind of a video, please consider subscribing. I'm going to be putting out more videos like this in the future for these kind of units and other units in the game, when they're new or otherwise. If you want to keep up with the latest Fire Emblem news and information that I'm putting out, consider following my Twitter, which you can find on my channel below. That being said, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope to see you next time.